Have you ever felt that strange emptiness after a night of drinking? That heaviness that isn't just physical, but something much deeper, as if an essential part of your being had been temporarily disconnected. What you're about to discover in this video will forever change your perception about alcohol and its true impact on your soul. More than 2 centuries ago, German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer was already warning about the hidden dangers of consciousness-altering substances. Schopenhauer, who dedicated much of his life to studying human will and perception, argued that any artificial alteration of our mental state didn't just affect the body, but created fissures in what he called the veil of Maya, that protective barrier that keeps our spiritual essence in balance with the material world. If this topic resonates with you, if you feel there's something beyond what society tells us about alcohol, I invite you to subscribe to this channel where we explore the deepest mysteries of human experience. Here you won't find superficial answers, but truths that can transform your way of understanding reality. Look around you. We live in a society where alcohol consumption is so normalized that questioning it seems almost revolutionary. From celebrations to moments of pain, from social gatherings to the loneliness of home, alcohol has become the silent companion of millions of people. But what is really happening in the most subtle planes of our being when we introduce this substance into our organism? Modern science has begun to scratch the surface of something that mystics and sages of all traditions have known for millennia, that we are much more than our physical body. We are multidimensional beings, with energetic layers that extend beyond what our eyes can perceive. These layers, known in different traditions as aura, astral body, or bioenergetic field, are as real as our internal organs, though infinitely more delicate. When alcohol enters our system, it doesn't just affect our liver, brain, and nervous system. Its influence extends to those more subtle dimensions of our being, creating alterations that can persist much longer than the physical hangover. It's as if each drink were a small breach in the energetic fortress that protects us from negative environmental influences. Think about the people you know who consume alcohol habitually. Beyond the obvious physical effects, have you noticed changes in their energy, in their presence? Often those who drink regularly develop what psychologists call addictive personality, but what in energetic terms we could describe as soul fragmentation. It's as if parts of their essence were gradually disconnecting, leaving empty spaces that cry out to be filled with more alcohol, more external stimuli, more escapism. The shamanic tradition of different cultures has termed this condition soul loss. This isn't a poetic metaphor, but a very specific spiritual diagnosis. When a person loses connection with essential parts of their being, they begin to experience that existential emptiness that characterizes so many chronic drinkers. The irony is devastating. They seek to fill that void with the same substance that is creating it. Schopenhauer described intoxication as a state in which the will temporarily frees itself from the chains of reason, but at the price of surrendering control to more primitive and destructive forces. He observed that people under the influence of alcohol not only lost their social inhibitions, but seemed to access darker aspects of their nature, aspects they normally kept under conscious control. But there's something even more disturbing happening at the energetic levels. When alcohol weakens our natural defenses, we don't just become emotionally vulnerable, we become permeable to energetic influences that normally couldn't affect us. It's as if the substance acted as a universal solvent, not only for our inhibitions, but for the barriers that protect us from negative environmental energies. Have you noticed how the atmosphere changes in places where alcohol is consumed excessively? Bars, nightclubs, gatherings where alcohol flows freely develop a particular energetic density. It's that feeling of heaviness, emotional chaos, uncontrolled energies clashing with each other. Highly sensitive people often instinctively avoid these places, without being able to explain exactly why they feel so uncomfortable there. This phenomenon has an explanation in terms of what mystics call energetic contagion. When our natural defenses are weakened by alcohol, we don't just project our emotions and thoughts more intensely, we also absorb negative energies from those around us more easily. It's a self-feeding cycle. Alcohol weakens our defenses, which makes us more vulnerable to negative energies, which in turn makes us seek more alcohol to escape from that energetic heaviness we've absorbed. Now we reach the heart of this revelation, the part that can completely transform your understanding of alcohol and spirituality. For centuries, different spiritual traditions have kept secret knowledge about how certain substances can be used to manipulate human consciousness, not to elevate it, but to keep it in states of dependency and confusion. Alcohol, in particular, has the unique ability to create what medieval alchemists called the sleep of the soul. It's a state in which the person believes they are awake and conscious, but is actually in a kind of spiritual lethargy, disconnected from their true inner power and their capacity for spiritual discernment. Observe how this mechanism works. A person drinks to relax, to socialize, to forget problems. In that moment, they experience a temporary sensation of liberation, euphoria, social connection. But what's really happening is that alcohol is temporarily deactivating the centers of their brain responsible for critical judgment, intuition, and spiritual connection. It's like turning on the lights in a room by shutting off the electrical generator. The illusion of clarity is achieved at the cost of the true source of energy. This disconnection has consequences that go far beyond the moment of intoxication. Each time a person resorts to alcohol to alter their state of consciousness, they're sending a deep message to their subconscious. I don't trust my natural ability to handle reality. Over time, this loss of confidence in one's own internal resources becomes not just chemical dependency, but existential dependency. If you recognize yourself in any of these situations, if you felt that strange disconnection after drinking, let me know in the comments. Your experience can help others understand they're not alone in this awakening. Studies in neuroscience have begun to confirm what mystics always knew, that alcohol specifically interferes with brain regions associated with spiritual experience. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for our capacity for transcendence and connection with something greater than ourselves, is particularly affected by regular alcohol consumption. It's as if the substance were specifically designed to close the doors of spiritual perception. But there's something even more revealing. Esoteric traditions speak of what they call the guardian of the threshold, that part of us that protects our consciousness from negative influences from the astral plane. Alcohol has the peculiar ability to lull this guardian to sleep, leaving us vulnerable to what different traditions have called parasitic entities, forms of energy that feed on our negative emotions and states of confusion. This isn't superstition or fantasy. It's an energetic reality that can be experienced by any person who develops sufficient sensitivity. Watch someone who is in the process of getting drunk. They don't just change their behavior and personality, but literally seem to become another person. What is really happening in those moments? From an energetic perspective, alcohol acts as a portal, allowing aspects of our personality that we normally keep integrated and under conscious control to temporarily take command. But it can also allow the entry of external influences, energies that don't belong to the person, but take advantage of the vulnerable state to manifest through them. Schopenhauer observed this phenomenon with both fascination and terror. In his private writings, he described how he had witnessed completely inexplicable transformations in people under the influence of alcohol, as if forces alien to their essential nature had taken temporary possession of their will. For him, this was the clearest evidence that our individuality is much more fragile than we believe, and that certain substances can act as keys that open doors that should remain closed. The question that naturally arises is, why is a substance with such destructive effects on the spiritual plane so normalized and even promoted in our society? The answer leads us to uncomfortable but necessary territory to explore. Throughout history, the elites who have managed societies have understood that a spiritually disconnected population is easier to control. People who have lost contact with their inner power, with their intuition, with their capacity for spiritual discernment, are more prone to seek authority and guidance from external sources. They are more susceptible to manipulation, more dependent on the system, less capable of questioning established power structures. Alcohol in this context isn't just a recreational beverage. It's a tool of spiritual disempowerment disguised as social pleasure. Its constant promotion in media, its presence in practically all important social events, its association with success, sophistication, and fun, all of this forms part of a system designed to keep us disconnected from our true spiritual potential. This isn't a far-fetched conspiracy theory. It's the logical result of observing how power systems work throughout history. Substances that elevate consciousness and connect people with their inner power have always been restricted, demonized, or reserved for initiated elites. Meanwhile, substances that fragment consciousness and create dependency have been promoted and massively commercialized. Alcohol clearly belongs to this second category. Its net effect on the population is the creation of millions of people partially disconnected from their spiritual essence, constantly seeking externally what they can only find internally. It's the perfect fuel for a consumer society where people seek to fill existential voids with external products, experiences, and substances. But here comes the hopeful part of this revelation. Once you understand these mechanisms, once you see clearly how alcohol affects your spiritual energy, you have the power to consciously choose a different path. It's not necessarily about completely eliminating alcohol from your life overnight, although for some people that may be the most liberating decision they can make. It's about, first of all, developing awareness, honestly observing how you feel before, during, and after consuming alcohol. Paying attention not just to physical effects, but to changes in your energy, in your mental clarity, in your connection with your intuition, in your ability to access meditative or deep prayer states. Many people who begin this process of conscious observation are surprised to discover that alcohol was stealing much more from them than they believed. Not just time and physical health, but moments of inspiration, spiritual clarity, deep connection with themselves and others. They realized that what they thought was relaxation was actually a form of desensitization, and what they thought was social fun was frequently an escape from authentic intimacy. The process of recovering your spiritual power after years of alcohol consumption isn't necessarily quick or easy, but it's deeply transformative. It's as if parts of your soul that had been asleep or fragmented began slowly to awaken and reintegrate. Many people report that after significantly reducing or eliminating alcohol from their lives, they begin to experience more vivid dreams, greater mental clarity, deeper connections in their relationships, and a renewed sense of purpose and direction in life. There's also usually an adjustment period, a kind of spiritual awakening that can be intense. When the layers of desensitization created by alcohol begin to dissolve, people may temporarily feel more vulnerable, more sensitive to environmental energies, more aware of emotions they had been suppressing. This is completely normal and is actually a sign that the healing process is working. During this transition period, it's especially important to surround yourself with positive influences. Seek support in communities that understand the spiritual aspect of recovery and develop practices that nourish and strengthen connection with your deepest essence. Meditation, prayer, time in nature, art, music, all these are ways to reconnect with aspects of yourself that alcohol had been numbing. It's also crucial to understand that this awakening isn't just personal, it has collective implications. Each person who recovers their spiritual power, who frees themselves from the fragmentation created by alcohol, contributes to elevating humanity's collective consciousness. In a world where so many forces work to keep us disconnected and confused, each act of conscious awakening is an act of spiritual revolution. The path of spiritual recovery from alcohol doesn't follow a linear timeline. Some days you'll feel incredibly clear and connected. Others you might experience what recovering individuals call the dark night of the soul, periods where you feel more sensitive to the world's pain and confusion than ever before. This heightened sensitivity isn't a setback. It's evidence that your spiritual defenses are rebuilding themselves, becoming more refined and discerning. During these vulnerable periods, it becomes essential to understand the difference between healthy sensitivity and energetic overwhelm. Healthy sensitivity allows you to perceive subtle energies and respond appropriately. Energetic overwhelm occurs when you haven't yet learned to filter and protect yourself from the constant barrage of chaotic energies that surround us in modern life. This is where ancient wisdom traditions offer invaluable guidance. Practices like energetic shielding, grounding techniques, and regular spiritual cleansing become not just helpful tools, but necessary life skills. Without alcohol to numb your perceptions, you'll need to develop conscious methods for managing your energetic environment. If this video has resonated with you, if it has illuminated aspects of your experience that you hadn't fully understood, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, where we continue exploring the hidden truths that can transform your life. Like this video if you feel this information can help others on their awakening journey, and share in the comments your own experiences and reflections on this topic. Remember, your soul knows the truth, even when your mind tries to resist it. The question isn't whether you have the power to transform your relationship with alcohol and recover your spiritual wholeness. The question is whether you're willing to honor that truth and act accordingly. The moment of awakening is now, and each conscious decision you make will bring you closer to the person you came to be in this lifetime.